Hello, everyone. We wanted to start this tea time by paying tribute to one of the fathers of the wargaming industry. You're probably aware John Tiller passed away on April 26th following a brief but courageous battle with brain cancer. He leaves a heritage of countless wargames, a passion for the hobby, and his vision for using games in professional environments. John was a pioneer, and we're lucky enough we can still play his games. I'm sure his legacy will continue for a long time. At Matrix Games, we understand the power of a form of entertainment that seems sometimes old and obsolete if compared to what people play today. When John started making games, these products would make the headlines of a specialist magazine. They'd be sitting on a front cover. And companies like SSI, Talonsoft, Impressions would be purchased by big corporations like Ubisoft, EA, or Take-Two. Now that the wargaming market is much smaller and we are so proud of being a niche, losing a founding father as John Tiller leaves us with a feeling of emptiness. This space is usually a happy place to share news and chat with your community, so we want to dedicate today's episode to John, and we're sure he's watching us drinking tea with us. So, yeah, we start a bit emotional. We really wanted to have this moment, of course it can't be a happy episode as always, but you guys know how important these characters, these figures are to our market, to our players. So it's also someone we want to really pay tribute to, and hopefully you guys want to join us in this endeavor. Having said that, as I said, you're watching us from above, and today we have a release day. It's always pretty stressful to release a game, and we don't want to lose sight of this as well. Warplan Pacific is releasing today, as you know. We are going to, the game is now available, we've just released it. We've been teasing you with this game for a long time. It's been tested for a very long time, and I think that it's a good tribute to John Tiller, actually. Warplan Pacific is really a true war game at core. Alvaro Souza at Kraken Games have made a game that really screams traditional war game from every hex, and I think it's a fitting moment to release this game. As I said, Warplan Pacific releases only on Matrix Games Store. Thanks for subscribing, Sparky Macduff. We are releasing the game only on the Matrix Games Store. So no Steam for the moment. We are following the same path as other war games. Make sure that everything works, everything is working properly. That the core players really like it, and so on, and then move to the wider market, the wider platform, because that public is somehow unforgiving to small glitches sometimes. So it's good that we can properly release with the core of the audience, and make sure that you guys out there are enjoying the game. The game comes with, I just wanted to have a quick overview of the scenarios, because I think this is kind of the part where Alvaro has made a really good balance. There's 5 scenarios in the game, and the traditional Pacific 1941 scenario is starting at Pearl Harbor and taking you through the whole of the war in the Pacific. That's your traditional way to play the game. There's 2 very cool introductory scenarios. One is the Okinawa 1945, which is like a very brief introduction, and this gives you a good foot into the game. It's a cool tutorial, kind of tutorial scenario, introductory way of playing the product, both land and sea. There's a very interesting scenario based on China 1937. This is a very interesting scenario to actually start playing the game, the land warfare of part of the game. This scenario will take you from the invasion of China until the start of the war in Europe. Again, kind of introductory, but also introduces a lot of the rules of the land warfare, which is a very good way of tackling this that part of the game with a very interesting part of history actually. Then there's two scenarios starting in 1942. There's the Solomon's 1942 scenario, which is a pretty balanced scenario where forces are in equal strength, and it gives you kind of the most challenging bit on of the Pacific War. So you've got equal sides, but though the goals are different and the strengths and weaknesses of the forces are different, you'll see that it's a very balanced set of forces. And then there's the Pacific 1942 scenario, which is starting in May 1942, just before the Battle of Coral Sea, which basically you basically skip the initial landings and go straight into the carrier battle action. So the game, as I said, the game releases today. I wanted to show you a 2 minutes video that basically explains what the game is, and we can then take it from there.
Warplan Pacific, the second war game in the Warplan series, is an operational level war game which covers all the nations at war in the Pacific theater from December 1941 to 1945 on an impressive game scale. Warplan Pacific simulates World War II campaigns by using land, naval, air forces, and support units to represent each of the countries involved in the conflict. Warplan Pacific stretches from India to America, including Australia, New Zealand, and the Aleutian Islands on a 50-mile or 80-kilometer scale hex map. Units can be augmented with 17 different advancements and 14 specialties, allowing for up to 47 different unit configurations. Perform multi-hex attacks in land combat or attack selected targets in air combat. Destroy the enemy supply convoys while protecting your own. Engage in deep naval combat. Night action, surface, pursuit, sub, emergency supply runs, and carrier combat are all available. Hidden naval fleets, communications intelligence, and encrypted codes allow for some thrilling excitement. Use communications intelligence to gather information on the enemy and to obscure your forces from information gathering. Buy code breakers to crack the enemy's encryption and improve your chances to break their codes. Warplan Pacific comes with 5 different scenarios, including one of the most iconic campaigns of the Pacific War, the Solomon Islands campaign. Experience the full war from start to finish in the Pacific 1941 scenario, or skip the initial landings and get right into the carrier battle action in the Pacific 1942 scenario, starting with the Battle of Coral Sea. If you want the experience of the Pacific theater from different perspectives, you can also play the invasion of China in 1937 or the Battle for Okinawa in 1945. The Battle for Okinawa is a smaller, introductory battle, so it makes a perfect place to get started.
Right, over the last few weeks, we've released a set of videos. If you go on your YouTube channel, the Matrix Games YouTube channel, Alvaro has explained the game in depth through a series of very good, very well crafted YouTube videos. So you're able to know more about the game from these videos as well. As you know, the game uses the same engine as Warplan Europe. We've released, I think, a couple of years ago, Alvaro, although the scale is different, of course, because it's the massive Pacific Ocean scale, you'll see familiarity with a lot of the mechanics, and a lot of changes that have been introduced are really made to make the specifics, to replicate the specifics of this war setting, but the core engine is that one. If you didn't actually buy Warplan Europe, we've got a cool bundle on the store, so there's a nice discount if you buy the two together, and a good way of getting the whole Warplan series. Now there is a series. It's two games. And I'm sure Alvaro has more in mind for the future. But for now, let's focus on Warplan Pacific, as I said, releasing today. And Alvaro will be online in the forums all day to monitor feedback, to gather information, and to make sure that the release goes as smooth as possible. If anyone has issues, don't worry about contacting support or writing the forum, and Alvaro will be there to answer your questions. So Alvaro just announced that there's another 3 more games in the series. So thanks for doing the PR job, and we are going to have, if you've got like a couple of spare hours a day, we'll get you on board with in the marketing team. I think you'll be fitting very well. Cool. Then other information we wanted to share. So first of all, decisive campaigns Ardennes. Ardennes is releasing a beta now. So we are now ready to enter this infamous beta phase. Every developer loves the initial beta test launch, because it's the actual when other players get to play the game and give feedback, and it's like sometimes like horror stories, sometimes very, very good. So it's it's a very touchy moment in any game development process. So Ardennes, decided campaign Ardennes, you can subscribe to the beta on the forum matrixgames.com/beta, and you'll find it there. And if you're picked up, Vic will eagerly await for your feedback. News number 2 or 3 actually. Panzercore 2 is now released on the Epic Game Store. We were going to release it when the latest DLC released, but we couldn't make it. Now it's finally available. There's actually a very cool set of discounts. So if you have an Epic Game Store account and want to purchase it there, it's discounted, and you can get also the DLCs with a discount. Mordante Countdown to Reconquista, only 2 weeks away. No, 21 days until medieval. Yes, 21 days. 21 days. It's not too far. It's not too far. I think the guys have finally made it to complete the game very recently, and we're now able to capture screenshots and do very cool things. So you'll be seeing more about Reconquista coming in the next few weeks. Actually, before we get to the release thing we do, we wanted to announce something, in a sense that Fantasy General 2, we are now officially submitted to Nintendo. So Fantasy General 2 is 100% coming to Nintendo Switch. This is a very good announcement for us, because, as you know, having war games played in other platforms has always been super hard. Fantasy General is already available on Xbox and PlayStation, and we are very excited about bringing it to Switch, because again, it's a completely different audience, different set of players, and we're pretty excited and curious to see how a game like Fantasy General will fare on a platform like Nintendo Switch. So now we can actually check the release dates and the release status. and we can see it full screen. So today, as I said, our Warplan Pacific release. We have Warp Battle Sector coming in May alongside Reconquista on the 20th. Remember, and I'll be reminding about this to you in just a few minutes, that on the 11th of May we have the big event. Command Kashmir Fire is releasing actually next week on the 6th of May, and this is our May release schedule. We've added Fantasy General 2 on Switch and Order of Battle on PlayStation, Xbox, so we've got two very cool console releases coming. We're excited about it. Order of Battle, again, another very interesting experiment on PlayStation, Xbox. It's a proper war game, so we'll see how it goes. Everything else is sort of unchanged, and we'll be, of course, giving you much more information about releases. This chart here is going to be revolutionized after the 11th of May, of course. Speaking about the 11th of May. Now, we wanted to show you a little bit of what's going to happen. So, 11th of May, we have HoW Wargamers, what we call HoW Wargamers 2021 Live Plus, right? Why it's called like this, and what are we trying to do? So HoW Wargamers, you know, it's something we've been doing over and over again for a number of years. It's a conference where we either invite press or developers, and we have a few days full of talks, and you know, we really are trying to understand what's happening in the market, see what's happening in development, what we do for improving our games, you know, developers chatting to each other and so on. It's a really, really cool event that unfortunately due to COVID we can't do. We weren't able to do it last year. So this year we thought, you know, what is a good way of still, you know, bringing the HoW Wargamers event along and, you know, change it so that it's you know, it's all online and, you know, people are able to participate and so on. So what we try to do is an event where we have a full afternoon of talks, presentations, announcements, news, all that kind of stuff. So Bruno will now show you the agenda, the schedule of the event. This will give you an idea of what's going to happen. We have split the event into different phases, but it's effectively two big blocks. Bruno, can you put it up on screen? Yes. No. Yes, no. Yes, here it is. So this is the schedule. We start at 2 p.m. BST. Well, we actually start before. There's a pre-show. There's lots of gameplay stuff happening before that, but the actual event starts at 2 p.m. We will give you a general company update, and we promise this will not be boring. It's not going to be like this sort of presentation to sit and just wait for the interesting bit to come. It's going to be very interesting stuff. It's all stuff made for the players, so you know, numbers, but stuff that is interesting to you to watch and learn about. After that, we'll give you an idea of what's happening in the pro work segment. So Matrix Games Pro Software will outline all our key projects we have with the pro software stuff, and again, very interesting to you guys as well. It's not something that you will be thinking this is very far away from what, you know, I play. It's going to be content that you'll really like and really be interested in. After that, we'll have a full update about Command, brief but punchy. We'll reveal a lot of very cool things on the Command franchise. It's again going to be both pro stuff and consumer stuff, and you'll see I would say a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect in Command. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a Matrix Games War Games showcase. This is a brief insight of what is happening within the wargaming world. So more of the Matrix games, counter hexes, turn-based stuff that, you know, we just talked about, right? The Warplan Pacifics, you know, what is happening in the future of the series that you know, so Flashpoint campaigns, the decisive campaigns, and so on. This is going to be, again, a short segment, but we want to give you to give a relevance to this segment because, of course, it's still a core part of our business. Then we have the sort of second block. The second block is very much geared towards Slitherine stuff and reveals. So Warhammer 40k Battle Sector, we are going to have a half-hour gameplay, stuff that you haven't seen before. You probably read the Battle Sector product page and you are excited about some things. Well, the Battle Sector product page doesn't include a lot of things that the game will have in the end. So you know, things like, you know, game modes or features or, you know, factions, who knows. We're going to reveal more about Battle Sector. So you'll get to know more about what the game is, what the features are, and so on. So that's going to be an interesting bit because, you know, it's not the Battle Sector you have already seen that we're going to show you to you. Distant Worlds 2 with Eric routines. We are going to have a half-hour of gameplay, reveal of specific features. We're going to showcase specific parts of the game, and it's going to be more towards expanding on things that we've already showed. Starship Troopers Terran Command, I've said last week, we are going to show you a full mission called, I can't remember the name of the mission, Peace of Mind, that's the name of the mission. We're going to show you the full gameplay of one mission. It's with all the cool features, all the stuff that we've added recently, the graphics, you'll see the UI, you'll see all the stuff that you haven't seen about Starship Troopers is going to be there. Half hour of gameplay with producer, you know, explaining, you know, all the different features and so on. And then we have a full hour of new games we're revealing. There's 4 games we're going to reveal. None of them is small or, you know, just a DLC or just extra content or stuff like that. There's going to be like 4 big things. You know, what we rank as, you know, our AAA kind of stuff. And historical, yes, also. See, I'm answering questions. I'm giving away information here. Don't hesitate to ask questions I can't answer as well. And so an hour of these will be spent about, you know, 15 minutes per project, and I swear you'll be excited. We have a lot of stuff happening. Probably this is the biggest thing we've ever done in terms of both investment, and we're making sure that this event resonates around the industry. And so come, you know, you are the heart of the community following this program every week. So make sure you connect from the start, or pick the stuff you like, mark it in your diary. We'll publish this schedule on our social media. You'll be able to, you know more about it in next week's tea time as well, and so you'll be able to ask more questions I won't be able to answer, and so that's the event. How much time is allocated to reveal section? About an hour, an hour 15 maximum. That's because the reveal section is going to be both revealing the game, you know, and chatting with the developers of these games. So there's a lot of stuff to deliver. No sword fighting demo. I'm really not good at sword fighting or Dante. I probably would lose against anyone in seconds. Here's a fun question. Why is Juve sucking now? Why is Juve? I know nothing at all about football, like zero. I know Juve, I think you're referring to a football team. I know zero about football. You can ask me about tennis, about basketball, about cricket, but not about football, please. Anyway, remember that we're about 46 subscribers short to add Shock Force 2 and Black Sea to the Sleet store. Quite a lot of followers missing for adding new 5 back catalog games to the Sleet store, but make sure you do that because, you know, Sleet store is basically, you know, if you follow us frequently, it's basically free stuff coming to you guys. Right, so Bruno, can you pass me the list of upcoming streams? Coming up next, of course, we've got Warplan Pacific. I guess Alvaro will be in the stream. Gamer is playing the game. At 6:30, we've got Caster of Magic. We've released last week the Caster of Magic for Windows module. Hexabu is playing the game. Fantasy General 2 Evolution with Edmund. Probably playing it at hard mode, impossible achievements kind of level tomorrow at 6 p.m. And Warnies 2 at 8 p.m. with XTRG following that. Of course, Edmund will beat the game in half an hour, so probably XTRG will play much earlier. On Saturday, of course, we've got Cushion playing Command Modern Operations. I know about the second release in May, but what day? We don't know yet, and we'll tell you next week. We are going through some hoops right now. May is a very, very, very busy month for releases. There's, you know, Rome being released, Rome Total War release, and remaster release today. Warplan Pacific. There's a load of strategy games released in May, so we need to find the right slot. This is like purely commercial reasons, so we'll let you know about that. By Distant Worlds 2 demo. No, there's no plan for Distant Worlds 2 demo. The guys at Core Force are super busy trying to figure out all the feedback from the beta, so there's no demo in sight at all. Reconquista Day is a word holiday. I think it is, and we'll make it so, Mordante. And yeah, so if there's no more question, I'll thank you for following us. I know today wasn't a super happy, you know, tea time, but we hope that you'll find the happiness in the games, and you know, so we'll find you next week, same time. Make sure you connect, and we'll show you more, tell you more, and give you a good look into the future of strategy games. See you soon. Bye.
Warplan Pacific, the second war game in the Warplan series, is an operational level war game which covers all the nations at war in the Pacific Theater from December 1941 to 1945 on an impressive game scale. Warplan Pacific simulates World War II campaigns by using land, naval, air forces, and support units to represent each of the countries involved in the conflict. Warplan Pacific stretches from India to America, including Australia, New Zealand, and the Aleutian Islands on a 50-mile or 80-kilometer scale hex map. Units can be augmented with 17 different advancements and 14 specialties, allowing for up to 47 different unit configurations. Perform multi-hex attacks in land combat or attack selected targets in air combat. Destroy the enemy supply convoys while protecting your own. Engage in deep naval combat. Night action, surface, pursuit, sub, emergency supply runs, and carrier combat are all available. Hidden naval fleets, communications intelligence, and encrypted codes allow for some thrilling excitement. Use communications intelligence to gather information on the enemy and to obscure your forces from information gathering. Buy code breakers to crack the enemy's encryption and improve your chances to break their codes. Warplan Pacific comes with 5 different scenarios, including one of the most iconic campaigns of the Pacific War, the Solomon Islands campaign. Experience the full war from start to finish in the Pacific 1941 scenario, or skip the initial landings and get right into the carrier battle action in the Pacific 1942 scenario, starting with the Battle of Coral Sea. If you want the experience of the Pacific theater from different perspectives, you can also play the invasion of China in 1937 or the Battle for Okinawa in 1945. The Battle for Okinawa is a smaller, introductory battle, so makes a perfect place to get started.